Okay, my goal is to show you how to do as much as of the test as possible using DESMOS. So if you do not have a computer, then you're going to want to download the DESMOS app. A lot of this is stuff I didn't show you in class because, let's be honest, it's not like real math doing it in DESMOS, but I'm going to show you how to at least pass the test using DESMOS. You're not going to be able to do every single question on the exam using DESMOS. However, you're going to be able to do about 70% of it with DESMOS, which is pretty good. So let's take a look at the first topic, arithmetic and geometric sequences. We haven't looked at this in a long time, so let's take a look. There are about 3 of these questions on the exam right here, and you can use DESMOS for them. It says examine the sequence of integers below, right here. And then it says which expression represents the nth integer of the sequence. So when we see a list of numbers and then we see some equations to write, we know we're going to use DESMOS. And we are going to use DESMOS to write an equation using y1 is approximately mx1 plus b. When you look at this list of numbers acts as your y values, and we do not have x values. So we can give it x values just by counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We can go ahead and add these values to DESMOS, adding a table, and then typing them in. So x values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Y values 17, 11, 5, -1, and -7. From there, we can tell DESMOS to go ahead and write an equation for us using y1 is approximately mx1 plus b. And just like that, you can see on the right side of the screen that m is -6. So that goes with the letter. That is our slope. It goes with the variable -6n plus our second value, b, which is 20. And that would be our answer right there. I gave you another one to try. So again, download the DESMOS app, give it a try. Make sure you put the numbers in the right order. You want it to be mx plus b, or in this case, mn plus b. You don't want it to be the other order. Okay, the next one, DESMOS cannot do for us, but I'm still going to show you how to do it. This one says, given the following information, write the first 4 terms of the sequence. And they tell us that f1 is 48. That means that this is my first term. So I can start off my sequence with a 48. The next piece of information that it gives us is this right here. What you need to figure out is if we're adding or multiplying in the sequence. So it says f of n equals 1/2, and it just says fn minus 1, which is the previous term. So this says 1/2 times fn minus 1. 1/2 times. So since we know that this is multiplication right here, this is being multiplied. This is my common ratio. This is multiplication. So when I go to my sequence, I'm going to be multiplying by 1/2. 48 times 1/2. And then I'm going to multiply by 1/2 again to get my next term. And by 1/2 again to get my 4th term. You'll have a calculator on the test, but if you don't have a calculator on you right now, you can just use DESMOS. So we have my first term, 48 times 1/2. gives me 24. Multiplied by 1/2 is 12. And multiplied by 1/2 is 6. And just like that, we are done. Again, the hardest part of this one is recognizing that this 1/2 is being multiplied. So we need to multiply. I gave you one to try right here. That is pretty much the same thing. This is my first term right here at 2. And then on the other side over here, this number again is being multiplied. We have a of n equals 5 times a sub n. So this is again multiplication. You should be able to do that the exact same way. Our next question that we cannot use Desmos for says a sub 1 is 5 and a of n equals 3 plus a n minus 1. And then it asks us to find a sub 7. So it gave us a lot of information. It said a1 is 5. This would be my first term because of this 1 right here. It says a sub n equals 3 plus. So this is my common difference now. This tells me I will be adding. And then down here, we want to find a sub 7. We want the 7th term. So we have a lot of information here. Our first term is 5, so I can go ahead and start off my sequence with a 5. And again, I want to find the 7th term. This is the first term. I want 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I want the 7th term. On top of that, I know my pattern right here is 3 plus, so I need to add 3. Up here, remember, we had 1/2 times as our pattern, so we were multiplying by 1/2. Our pattern now is just plus 3. So we're going to do that pattern right here. We're going to go plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, and plus 3 to find that 7th term. 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, and plus 3. So my 7th term is 23. And that gives me my answer. I gave you one to try right here. I can add that same color to it. It says A1 is 8. It tells us our pattern is 2 plus A sub n. And we are finding the 6th term. Okay, we are almost at the point where we can use Desmos for everything. I just have one more question on the test that we cannot use Desmos for, and that is going to be a property of exponents question that is going to be free response. And that question is going to look something like this. We're going to be using two rules. We're going to be using our power rule. We're going to be using our power rule right here because we have parentheses with an exponent up top. And then we're going to be using our product rule second. So let's go ahead and use this power rule first. It says when we have a number on the outside of our parentheses, we distribute it and then multiply. So that'll be happening right here. This 8 goes to the 5, and we are going to have x 8 times 5 is 40. Bring down this x to the 12th. And now we are using this product rule right here since we have multiplication. Our product rule says when we multiply exponents, we add them together. So for this one, we would have 40 plus 12. 40 plus 12 will give me 52. And I am done with that question. If I go right here, I have one for you guys to try. And now we are finally in some new stuff that I could not show you in class. And the stuff I could not show you in class is how you can use DESMOS over here to get most of your test answers. The words you're going to be looking for to know you can use DESMOS. If you see anything that says expression, equivalent, these two words with the E, if you see any of that and you see letters and answer choices with letters, you can do it in DESMOS. Over here, if you see equivalent or expression, you can use DESMOS. Select the simplified expression, use DESMOS. Expression, use DESMOS. Expression, use DESMOS. Expression. Equivalent expression, use DESMOS. Expression, you can use DESMOS. So again, if you see anything ever that says equivalent or says expression, you can use DESMOS. And I'm going to show you how to use DESMOS. The two main steps I want you to keep in mind for when you use DESMOS. Okay, using DESMOS. Using DESMOS to cheat. One, look for equivalent. Or the word expression. If you see the words equivalent or expression, you can use DESMOS. Use DESMOS. The only other steps, number 2, you must have answer choices. It's not going to help you on the free response questions. There are only like 2 free response questions on the test, but DESMOS is not going to help you for those. And number 3, you will change all letters to X. And then our very last step, how do you know it's right? For select matching answer. And I'll show you what that looks like over and over again right now. Okay, so again, using DESMOS to cheat, look for equivalent or expression. That's going to let you know you can use DESMOS. The question must have answer choices. It must have A, B, C, or D, right? It has to have answer choices, cannot be free response. You're going to change all of your letters to X. And then you're just going to pick the matching answer. All right, let's go over it. So if we go up here, we have our 2 magic words, equivalent and expression. Which is equivalent to the above expression. You can use your exponent loss for sure, but if you're on this video, because you want to learn how to use DESMOS, so let's put it in here. We're going to just start typing this in, but remember, change all letters to X. So we go back up to it, and we're going to start typing this in as all X. 45, X. to the 8th. Not y, but x to the negative 9th. X to the 4th. On the bottom, 30x to the 3rd. X, not y, to the negative 6th. And x to the 2nd. And as you see, Desmos graphed it for me right there. There is now a graph. So I type this in, but again, if I'm using Desmos, all of these letters are going to be X in Desmos. And I see my graph. That graph looks like this. It says which one is equivalent, which one is the same. Now I'm going to type this answer choice in using all x's. Divide, and I'm going to go 3x to the 5th x squared over 2x to the 3rd. And if you notice, in Desmos, that is the same graph. You can see it turned from blue to green. That is the same. That's my answer. I'm going to show you why this one is not the answer. Let's go ahead and change them to x's and put them in. So if I type that answer choice in, I'll show you how it looks wrong. That answer choice we had 3x to the 5th x squared over 2x to the 15th. And you can see that looks nothing like the original, right? That one looks nothing like it. It looks like this. Those are not the same, not the same. None of those graphs are the same. You can see two graphs over there. They are not the same. But the first answer choice was the exact same graph. And that is good enough right there. So you can try that out right here. If that doesn't make sense to you yet, keep watching. It's going to make sense. Again, which is equivalent to the above expression. Those are your key words that tell you can use Desmos. In the other video, I showed you how to do this by hand again, but we can use Desmos. We can type in square root of 48. Desmos says that this number is 6.93 or 928. Now I'm going to check my answer choices. 3 square root of 4 is 6. That is not the same. 4 square root of 3 is 6.928. Those are the same. That is my answer choice. That's it. You can do that same thing right here. Checking which one gives you the same number. All right, let's keep going. Let's power through this test. Next one says, select the simplified expression. That is your key word right there. So you're going to put the whole thing from the question into Desmos. We have negative 9x squared minus 5x plus 10 plus 12x minus x squared minus 3. And there's my graph. It's going to graph it for me. That's what that graph looks like right there. And I can go ahead and sketch a little picture. The graph looked like that. That's what I'm looking for. All right, I go to my first answer choice and I type it in. First answer choice and type it in. Negative 10x squared plus 7x plus 7. Okay, and if you notice on Desmos, my graph was green, and I click the new one, and it is now purple. They are the same graph. It looks like there's only one graph on there because they are the same, right? So I know this is the answer, but I can show you what the wrong answer would look like if we type in the next one. Negative 8x squared plus 7x plus 13. And you can see that those are not the same. Not the same. When you have only the first two, you only see one graph because they are the same graph. If you put the last one on there, it is not the same. You end up with something that looks like this. Not same. Okay, I gave you one to try here. And we're just going to keep going. Select. If it still does not make sense, keep watching, keep looking. Eventually it's going to make sense. This one, select the simplified expression. That's one of our keywords that lets us know we can put it in Desmos. Remember, we do not type any other letters in Desmos. You're going to change all of your letters to be X's. Make all letters X. All the letters are X. And we type. So we're going to go 14x squared. I'm just typing in this right here. Plus 7x from the question minus 9 minus 8x squared minus 5x plus 2. And there is my graph right there. I have this really steep U-shaped graph. Okay, really steep U-shaped graph. Looks like this. And now I'm going to see which one is the same. That's what all of these are asking, is which one is the same. So I'm going to type in that first one right here. 6x squared plus 12x minus 11. And again, you can see in Desmos, it changes color. It goes from red to blue. Only one graph is there. We had a red graph, and then when we graphed it, it turned blue. They are the same. There's the answer. I'm going to show you what this one looks like to show you why it's wrong. If you type that one in, we have 22x squared plus 2x minus 7. And you can see those are not the same. There are two graphs on there. Those are not the same. We end up with one like this. And then that green graph comes in and looks like this. Not the same. Not the same. Not it. All right. I left you one to try again. If it's still not making sense, keep watching. Let's do a couple more examples. Again, we have our magic word, expression, and we have answer choices. It lets us know we can do it in Desmos. Do not forget your Desmos steps. Look for equivalent or expression. Must have answer choices. Change all letters to X. So when you go right here, change all your letters to X. Answer choice letters to X. Okay, change them all to X. All to X. And then put it in Desmos. X, 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 X. All right, let's put it in Desmos. So again, you're putting in the question first. So we have 6x plus x. 2 minus x plus 3xx. There we go. Now we're going to type in our answer choice 1. 8x plus 2xx. Oh, look at that. Right there. Purple turned to black. Purple to black. I only see one graph. Only one graph, so they are the same. We had one graph like that, and then the second graph was on top. They are the same. That is my answer, but I'm going to show you why this one is wrong. So we can put that one in right here. 8x minus 4xx. And you can see that is not the same graph. Not the same graph. I had one like this, and then the other graph went on top of it. Those were not the same. You only want to see one graph. Check that out. Go on to the next one. Go on to the next one. You have one to try here. Remember, change all the letters to X. Put it in Desmos. If it's still not making sense, let's do another one. Multiplying polynomials now. Select the expression that represents the product of the three binomials above. Product means to multiply. Again, change all your letters to X if you're going to use Desmos. All the letters are X. Answer choices. All the letters are X. And X. And X. Now we can put in the question. 3x plus 4x, 2x minus 5x, 2x plus 3x. There we go. There's my graph right there. My graph looks something like that. I'm going to try my first answer choice. First answer choice right here, 7x plus 2x. That does not look the same at all. I ended up with one line that looks like this, and one line that looks like this. Those are not the same. We only want to see one line. All right. Let's try the second answer choice right here. 12x cubed plus 4x squared x minus 61xx squared minus 60x cubed. And as you can see with that second one, that is the same as the first one. We had a blue line, turns purple. Blue turns purple. So those are the same. I had one line that looked like this. It was blue, and then it turned purple. Those are the same. Again, it was not the first one because it had that line. The second one looks the same. All right, this one. Select the expression that represents the area of the triangle. All you need to know for this one is the area of a triangle. Area of a triangle equals 1/2 base times height. So we are going to go ahead and write an expression that can represent that. That'll be 1/2. 1/2 base. Here's my base. Times height. There is my height. So I'm going to take my expression, put it into Desmos. 1/2 6x minus 6, 4x plus 2, And now I'm going to find which expression is the same. So starting with this first one, let's type it in. We have 24x squared minus 12x minus 12. Okay, this is close, but they're not the same. Not the same. You see one line that goes like this, and then you see the second one on there that goes like this. Not the same. They are different. We can go ahead and delete that one out. Just have the one from the question. Just have this one in there. Now we're going to try this one. So we can put in 12x squared minus 6x minus 6. Just like that. Black turns to blue. Only one graph is there. They look the same. We had one graph. When we graphed the second one, it looked like it went right on top of it. They are the same. And there you go. I left you one to try. So, again, if you learn how to do this, there are a couple that you have to do by hand, but for most of the test, that'll be like 3 questions, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's about half of the test that you can do straight in DESMOS. So you should not be scoring under a 50 or a 60, which is passing the STAR test. Okay? So again, here are your steps to use DESMOS to cheat. And you can do this stuff on the STAR test as well. So practice using DESMOS, and the test should not be that bad. If you still have questions about how this works, feel free to ask me during class, after class, before class, whenever. Good luck.